Influencer Chessie King on her grueling fertility journey, dealing with trolls and how her struggles made her closer than ever to her husband. Everything I saw online about IVF was negative. I wanted to reframe that. Daily Mail journalists select and curate the products that feature on our site. If you make a purchase via links on this page, we will earn commission. Learn more. Soon, successful influencer Chessie King will be welcoming her second child. But it hasn't been the easiest journey for the 33-year-old.
Flies and gnats invading your kitchen? Plug in the Zevo Flying Insect Trap to attract and catch flying pests with blue and UV light day and night. Want to check today's Amazon deal? Scan the QR code now or visit grabdeal.us/1 before it's gone.
She endured a grueling IVF process over 446 days with 86 injections and suffered a devastating miscarriage. And the influencer has now spoken exclusively to the Daily Mail to mark World IVF Day about her journey to becoming a mother for the second time after welcoming her daughter Aurelia, 5, with her husband Matthew in lockdown. While Chessie has described the emotional process as taxing on her both physically and mentally, she chose to reframe the often negative narrative towards fertility struggles. Body positivity campaigner Chessie used Prosive supplements as part of her fertility journey the second time around to support both her and her husband's general well-being and health. She said, "It's a huge toll on your body, physically, mentally, everything. But it was the closest Matt and I have ever been in our relationship in 10 years, and it just kind of felt like we were both doing it together. He helped me with the injections the first 2 days. He's a diabetic, so he just knows how to do them." Soon, successful influencer Chessie King will be welcoming her second child, but it hasn't been the easiest journey for the 33-year-old. She endured a grueling IVF process over 446 days with 86 injections and suffered a devastating miscarriage. She announced her pregnancy last December, pictured above. She continued, "I tried to flip it and flip the narrative and be like, how fascinating is this, instead of being like, oh, wow, this is the worst thing I could ever go through." We were just so lucky that we were supported by a clinic that has such a huge success rate in their first rounds. Chessie also described how often a lot of what she saw online about IVF was negative, and that she wanted to reframe that into something much more hopeful. She said, "I always just share things online hoping that it gives that solace and that comfort, some optimism and hope. Because for me, when I was looking at IVF on Instagram, I only saw IVF failures. I didn't really see IVF success, and that is the reality of IVF and fertility. But I was like, I really want to give that hope so that someone watched it and go, okay, like it could happen for me. As humans, we just absorb negativity so much easier than positivity. I feel, and it sticks with you, that negativity. And actually, I wanted to try and wipe through that." She added, "This is just how I've been in my entire life. I am faced with something, and I think, right, how can I make this the most empowering, positive experience and learn from it? Because every negative emotion, every negative test that we got, and every loss, I really try to think it's just teaching me something. It's teaching me patience, and now I realize why it took so long, because it was always meant to be that process." While Chessie has detailed the emotional process as taxing on her both physically and mentally, she chose to reframe the often negative narrative towards fertility struggles. She said, "It's a huge toll on your body, physically, mentally, everything. But it was the closest Matt and I have ever been in our relationship in 10 years. Chessie is pregnant at the same time as her fellow influencer sister Bront, and the star is thrilled to be able to share the experience with her. She said, "I'm 6 weeks in front of my sister, who is my best friend, so we're all able to do it together. If you had told me that at the beginning, it would have made things a lot easier." However, sharing her IVF journey didn't come without some criticism from the online trolls. She said, "Don't get me wrong, I got so many messages being like, this is not a real insight into IVF. We were so lucky that it was after the first round, but for me, it wasn't just doing that first round of IVF. It's all the time that led up to that when we were trying, and obviously went through all the different notions of trying to conceive. You're always going to get it trolling, if you're as open in speaking about topics as I am. I'm so aware that I'm always going to get voices, and I appreciate that everyone has their own opinions, and I'm not really affected by that. Speaking about the importance of Prosiv when trying to conceive, she said, "Well, Oralia is 5, so I didn't keep any supplements down with her pregnancy, and yeah, I wasn't as prepared. So this time round, as soon as we started trying to conceive, I was like, right, I know exactly what to take, and Prosiv for both of us was our number one choice. So we both started taking it because I wanted Matt to feel as involved in the trying to conceive process as I did. They both started taking the supplements a year and a half before they actually conceived, before Chessie moved on to take their pregnancy supplements all the way through to her current 3rd trimester. Chessie is planning a serene home birth to welcome her 2nd child after having a C-section with Aurelia. Of becoming a mother of 2 very soon, she said, "I'm so excited. It all just makes sense to me now." Chessie announced she was pregnant with her 2nd child last December by sharing a euphoric video on Instagram. The star shared her first bump, snap, with her almost 700,000 followers. She wrote, "Pure asterisk euphoria, there are no words in any language that will ever be able to explain just how unbelievably grateful we are for IVF ICSI. We've only kept it our secret for 2 weeks, meaning I'm still asterisk very early, but we have never done any of this quietly. We've shared every negative that has led to this positive with you. And the whole, don't tell anyone until 12 weeks feels outdated, and you've all taught us that support matters at every stage, but I'm not going to lie. We're still nervous and feel like it's too good to be true, after losing a baby from early miscarriage back in March. We feel indescribably lucky, and I truly appreciate this may be difficult for you to read. Please know we are wishing for every single one of you still waiting, hoping, and hurting." Chessie praised the fertility clinic she used as they gave her so much hope, but admitted it has cost the couple an absurd amount. She continued, "Avenues have been nothing but extraordinary throughout this journey. When we went to them for our initial consultation, we received more answers in the half an hour of being there than we had since last October. It was our 3rd fertility clinic, and they have honestly given us so much hope. We are paying clients, and my goodness does IVF add up. The fertility medication I'm on now, until my 12-week scan, is absurdly expensive. IVF costs vary widely, but in the UK, a single cycle typically ranges from £3,000 to over £7,000. However, there will be extra fees on top for consultations, blood tests, procedures which can bring the total cost to over £10,000. Contact Miscarriage UK for support. www.miscarriageuk.org/info@miscarriageuk.org/30336464. In vitro fertilization, known as IVF, is a medical procedure in which a woman has an already fertilized egg inserted into her womb to become pregnant. It is used when couples are unable to conceive naturally, and a sperm and egg are removed from their bodies and combined in a laboratory before the embryo is inserted into the woman. Once the embryo is in the womb, the pregnancy should continue as normal. The procedure can be done using eggs and sperm from a couple or those from donors. Guidelines from the National Institute for Health and Care Excellence, NICE, recommends that IVF should be offered on the NHS to women under 43 who have been trying to conceive through regular unprotected sex for 2 years. People can also pay for IVF privately, which costs an average of £3,348 for a single cycle, according to figures published in January 2018, and there is no guarantee of success. The NHS says success rates for women under 35 are about 29%, with the chance of a successful cycle reducing as they age. Around 8 million babies are thought to have been born due to IVF since the first ever case, British woman Louise Brown, was born in 1978. The success rate of IVF depends on the age of the woman undergoing treatment, as well as the cause of the infertility, if it's known. Younger women are more likely to have a successful pregnancy. IVF isn't usually recommended for women over the age of 42 because the chances of a successful pregnancy are thought to be too low. Between 2014 and 2016, the percentage of IVF treatments that resulted in a live birth was